Here's my review of One Piece. Keep in mind, I have never seen the anime. I knew absolutely nothing about the show going in, so I went in completely blind, and I thought it was great. This is just a really fun adventure show, and the characters are just so charming. I really didn't really hate any of the characters, and I think that this is a show that is, at least for me, heavily reliant on the characters because I didn't know anything about it, and because a plot like this is just kind of just so weird. With the basic plot of basically being Luffy gathering a bunch of pirates to go find the One Piece, and I don't really know what that is. That's one thing I don't really think the show did a good job explaining what it even was. And as for someone who's never seen the anime, I don't understand what it is. So it's just a really fun adventure show, and it is solely carried by these characters, and you get to learn so much about them. You get to learn so much about Luffy, and he's just such a fun character. He's always so upbeat. He's never not likable, and that's what makes the show so good. And I thought Nami was great too. She was really fun with her kind of being like, "Oh no, I'm not a pirate. I'm not a pirate. Don't call me a pirate." And she's kind of a character where she's very interesting because in a way, massive spoilers, just massive spoilers. She's a twist villain, but like it just kind of feels out of place, but at the same time it kind of fits because the whole time she's like, "No, I'm not a pirate. I'm not a pirate." And you find out like she's working with like these other evil pirate crew. Or like kind of they're pirates, but they're also not. It's weird. And I thought the scenes with Kobe is great too, where that's Luffy's best friend, and Luffy's whole dream is to become a pirate, and Kobe wants to become a marine. And marines are obviously they have to follow the law, and pirates are against the law. So it just creates this whole tension throughout the show where you know that they're best friends, and because Luffy's just such a great guy, he still supports him. He still's like, "Yo, yeah, follow your dream." But he's still gonna follow his dream to become a pirate, and Kobe's still gonna follow his dream to become a marine. And so because they have that personal connection, you know that there's so much just depth to these characters and to the stakes of him having to basically run after Luffy. And with another big reveal is that the general is actually Luffy's grandfather, and so that obviously creates a lot of personal tension throughout the show. Although I feel like there wasn't that much depth. Like you do get to see some of the flashbacks with Luffy as a kid and with the lieutenant general guy, like kind of trying to raise him, and how Luffy's kind of like I guess more, he's like just wants to be a pirate. He's always wanted to do this, and obviously, the lieutenant does not like that, and so it kind of feels like they're kind of growing apart. And I think Sanji was one of my personal favorite characters because I think one of his personal episodes was I think one of the best in the whole season. And where Sanji is basically a chef, and you see some flashbacks of him as a chef as a kid. And one of my favorite parts is when they're stranded on this island, him and the head chef that he was working for, and they had to. His head chef said, "Oh, stay over there. You're not allowed over here because I get this part of the food, you get that part of the food." And eventually, Sanji eats all the food, and he goes over to the head chef, and he's like, "I want more food, but there is none." And you see the head chef like cut off his own foot and ate it. And it's just so hard to watch, but you know like he did that because he cared about him, even if he was so mean to him. And it was just a really touching scene because it just shows how he did care about him, even though we don't really know that much about him. Like they're not related. He just worked for him. And it was just a really touching scene. Also, did I mention that Luffy had stretchy powers? They are really cool. The VFX are basically flawless, and they kind of lead to some very cool action scenes where he's stretching. But unlike kind of like a stretchy character like Mr. Fantastic, I feel like Luffy's more rubbery, so he's kind of able to use it to survive more things that like he shouldn't be able to no matter what. But it's still a very entertaining part of the show. And characters like Zorro have, I think, another great flashback episode where Zorro's whole character is that he wants to be the best samurai to ever live. And you get to see flashbacks where he was with this other girl practicing, and she was better than him. And he made a vow to her that he would be the best samurai ever. And after she dies, it makes him want to do it even more. And I thought that was another great episode. Like, I think that even though I feel like I wouldn't say a lot, but even though I feel like there are a lot of episodes, not the majority, but still quite a bit, are like some flashbacks exploring these characters. It allows their motivations to become more clear, and it allows you to like them even more than you already do. especially with a character like Zorro, who's kind of, I guess, like stern. He's kind of, I wouldn't really say he has that much, I guess, personality. And you kind of understand that. Like, this is why. And the villains are very cool in this too, with there being a clown villain who can kind of like take out part his limbs. But I do think like he didn't really have that much depth, but he was still a really fun villain. And there were a bunch of different villains in this show, although I didn't really find them super memorable outside of the general. There was this cool shark villain, but I still don't really feel like he had that much depth. And obviously, because spoilers, like we find out that like they are related. Luffy and the general, like general is his grandson. It's obviously a lot more depth to the fights. And one character that I'm kind of like mixed about is Nami, because she says she's not a pirate from the beginning, but then when they reveal her that she's actually a villain, it feels kind of out of left field, but at the same time, you understand that because they show more of her backstory. You see how she had a sister and how they kind of grew apart. And it's just a very interesting kind of like villain, because she's not like really a villain. And I don't know. I thought it was still pretty cool, even though I've kind of thought it felt out of place, at least for me, because like I said, I have not seen the anime. But it's weird. Like I said, like she was revealed to be like a twist villain, but they kind of get back together at the end, so part of it feels unnecessary. And like I said, overall, although I thoroughly enjoyed this show. And we're left on a pretty interesting note as we see this guy burning a hole in the wanted poster, which is one of the things that Luffy wanted the whole show. Is he wanted to be a famous pirate, he wanted to be on a wanted poster, and he gets that, and then we see somebody burning a hole in it, and we don't know who it is. And I thought this show was just great, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of it. But like I said, overall, I really enjoyed the show. I probably have been missing a lot of stuff because these episodes are all over an hour long, even though there's only like 9 episodes. And some stuff was kind of confusing me because, like I said, I have not seen the show, so the anime. So some stuff I just didn't really understand all that well. But overall, I thought it was great. I loved the characters, and I loved the plot. I just thought that this was of them searching for the One Piece, even though like we're gonna see more of that, I would assume, in season 2. Because I mean, I don't know how the show ends. I don't know if they ever actually find it, and I don't really even know what it is. I guess that's kind of my main complaint, is I don't really understand what the One Piece even is. But this is a very, at least to me, very character driven, but the characters are just awesome. And yeah, it has amazing action, amazing characters, and just great writing. And Luffy is just such a great, really enjoyable character. I don't really have that many negatives to say. Overall, I really enjoyed the show. Oh, and one more thing that I forgot to add. At the end, they kind of show more about like how the different seas that they have to travel to, teasing more of the adventures to come and teasing where the One Piece actually is, because they only covered like 1/4 of the ocean. So we're obviously going to see more. But yeah, that's just a little extra thing I had to add on. But overall, I really enjoyed the show.